Let's take a quick look and see what's inside the shop here. Ooh, that's kind of cool. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the Goose. So the Goose is nearly complete. Katie's working on the upholstery for the seat here. And you can see we've got a movable backrest, so it can accommodate a single rider or two riders. This backrest will have a little upholstered pad on it so that it'll give you a little bit of lumbar support. The cushions will be probably about 3 or 4 inches tall on this, so we want to make it fairly comfortable but not ride so high that it's off balance. So the concept was a rail truck that was home built by railroads, and this was common. They would often take Model Ts or other types of truck frames and adapt them to run on railroads for routes that didn't require a full train service but still needed to move cargo. So in order to hide the battery box on this, we have this shipping crate. That's in quotations because what it actually is a battery box. So if you lift this off, you can see there's two 12-volt batteries wired to produce 24 volts, which runs the motor underneath. And then we have a little storage compartment here. The bracing you see in steel is for that backrest. So put that back on. We've got running boards made out of oak here that were salvaged from a piece of shipping pallet, and it was surprisingly good wood. So they're all made with a single 2x4 that we ripped down into different sections, including the little cab floor here. We have a voltmeter. I've got the key on, so we're reading voltage here. We also have a USB charger. That's the closest green I could find, and then you can turn that off if you don't like that. And then battery cutoff switch there. And then let's get on board here. It's kind of like a dinosaur on a tricycle when you're riding these, but they're surprisingly well grounded because they're fairly heavy. So we have a remote control here on a tether, and it's removable right there. So we've got different functions here. There's the rheostat that controls engine speed. We have a reverser, forward and reverse. And then we also have headlights. You can see they're fairly bright. And the relay that you hear is a wigwag relay that causes the back tail lights to flash like crossing signals. And it's debatable whether or not I'm going to leave that functioning because it's really loud. And if you're going for a nighttime ride, it's sometimes nice to have peace and quiet. So I do have a bypass wiring scheme. And then we also have a horn function. So we can make noise. It sounds more like bolts in a blender, but it works. So those are our basic controls. There's also a bell ringer that I wired, or not wired up, but roped up. So I wanted to exaggerate the motion so you could just flick the lever and cause the bell to ring. So you can see I have a series of pulleys here and here so that it doesn't stress the rope out. And it just pulls. Let's see if we can get under the bell. There it is. Let's do this. So very simple mechanism. We also have a galloping flying goose bike head badge that I found on eBay. And then this happy little guy here who happens to be held on with a magnet because he's made out of brass, and I didn't want it to snap off if something were to hit this. So the magnet holds it to this piece of steel that I turned to look like a radiator cap. So we also have a theme. You probably noticed these are not Christmas lights. They're eggs on a pedestal. And so we've got one there and also here, just because it's kind of fun to go with the Goose theme. So we have a removable front coupler, and then in order to tie this down in a vehicle, it sits on a plywood base with some 1/4 inch by 1 inch steel flat bar. These are bolted to T-nuts on the underside, and then this is also bolted to a T-nut. So it's immobile on the front end. And then in addition, come around to the back, we have a rear-facing coupler type thing made out of steel that I welded together. And if you mount the coupler backward in the pocket, you can couple to that and then hold everything with a turnbuckle to keep it from squeaking going down the road. So it forms a really strong joint there. It prevents things from moving and hopping around, and you don't get the springy effect as you're going up and down the road. And then again, this cross piece is held in with T-nuts and bolts. So it's all removable. A lot of railroads have a little ramp section that you can pull up to the back of your vehicle and roll these across, because they're kind of heavy with batteries and everything, and this is well over 250, 300 pounds. So you don't really want to pick these up if you don't have to. Here's the rear suspension. We actually have, are those doubled? I can't tell now. I think it's a single green spring, which is fairly high spring rate. They make inserts that you can put inside of those to modulate that plus or minus, and you can buy different size springs depending on your load. I expect to carry 2 people on this, so I had to spring them a little bit heavier. While we're down here, you can see the motor and the chain on the opposite side there that runs the sprocket. So that's our means of propulsion, and that motor will run through the electronics up front here and charge the battery. So I'm going to undo the bonnet mounts, and let's see if I can pull this off. And you can see what's going on under the hood. We have a battery charger here, and you can just plug in right there with a regular extension cord to get power to charge these up when you're sitting overnight. But the battery should last quite a while. It'll probably go all day on a single charge. There's the control unit, and that's basically what sends your voltage over to the motor. It adjusts that based on that rheostat on the control, and then relays that to the motor. We've got a little fuse box here. Way overkill for this because there's just one fuse in it, but it was left over from a British car project because I only needed one in that project. And then we've got the klaxon. It takes up valuable real estate, but sounds pretty good to my ear. So anyway, that's the tour of the Goose. So once we get some upholstery on it, I'll shoot another video, and we're looking forward to taking it out on a test run so we can see how it performs on the rails. All right, talk to you later. Bye.